I've just spent the last week building something that I honestly shouldn't be giving away for free. It's an SEO plugin for Claude Code and Cowork. Every day it's watching search, AI answers, and competitors as they change, so you know exactly what you need to publish to rank #1. Plus, every day you get a list of revenue ranked SEO opportunities ready to execute on. So you spend less time lost in the data and more time actually executing. And with Cowork's new scheduling feature, you can set this up once and never have to touch it again. You get SEO opportunities delivered to you every single morning. But it goes way beyond just keyword research. When you've got an SEO opportunity worth going after, it builds agency quality SEO briefs with full heading structures, internal links, competitor analysis. People also ask questions the lot. With SEO content writing skills, you can even turn that raw data into ready to publish SEO articles. All you do is hit review and publish. I think it's crazy that these SEO providers can get away with charging you hundreds of dollars a month just for access to data. And half the time, you don't even know what to do with it. If you've got an agency, they're probably charging you 10 times that. But this plugin gives you 90% of what your SEO agency does for 1% of the price. Stick around to the end and I'll show you the secret SEO API that gets you all the SEO data you could ever need for a fraction of what Ahrefs or SEMrush is costing you. This plugin brings together the best of the best in SEO frameworks across keyword research, brief building processes, and content humanization. I've packaged all of it into this one easy to download zip file that you can set up in less than 5 minutes. Let me show you what I built. I want to start with the /find opportunities command. If I open that up in Cowork, it's going to give me a few different options, but I'm just going to ignore that and say find today's high value opportunities and press go. That's going to get Claude Cowork to kick off. What it's looking for is 4 different layers of SEO analysis. The first one is striking distance keywords. Those are the keywords that you're ranking for in positions 6 to 20 that are within striking distance, things that we can optimize for and get within the top 5. Second is competitive gaps, which are keywords where none of the top results are particularly strong and they can be really easily ranked for. Low competition, high opportunity. Third is unowned topics, high intent keywords where no one is owning that opportunity yet. And fourth is the one that really sets it apart. It's AI visibility. This plugin can tell you exactly where you're ranking for particular keywords across all of the major search providers. That's Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, and Perplexity, and tells you exactly where the opportunities are that you can go and exploit. So what it's asking me here is what topic or angle should I focus on the opportunity on? And I'm going to say a wide net across all topics. But if I had a particular niche or something that I wanted to really target this search on, I could definitely answer that there. And then it's also asking me for where I should recommend this data from. So it can support anywhere in the world, but I'm just going to go United States because that's the one that's recommended for Anthropic. So I'm going to let Claude Cowork go to work here and we'll come back once it's completed. Cool, so Claude's just finished pulling together today's daily opportunity brief and it looks really, really good. If we go back through the history here, we can see Claude has done a ton of really great research. First, it started to read our site profile, our competitors, and our brand voice to inform what type of opportunities we should be searching for. From there, it went through and pulled a bunch of data from Data for SEO, which it has sort of concatenated here, but it's done a lot of domain searching, it's done heaps of keyword suggestions, and just a massive amount of research. Much more research than I could possibly do in the 5 or 10 minutes that it took for this to run in the background. So you can see the steps that Claude Cowork took over here. It first started with the striking distance keywords, like we said before. Then it ran a competitor gap analysis on OpenAI and Google Gemini. And from there, it found the seeds and expanded seeds and to discover unknown topics that it could potentially integrate as SEO topics. It then went and found the top 3 to 5 keyword clusters and checked AI visibility for how these were returning across ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. From there, it's come and formed our really, really important daily opportunities report, which if I can open here, is super user-friendly and easy to read. We have a summary of our daily opportunities as well as the total value. Every single opportunity returned in this report has a dollar value against it, so you can prioritize which ones are actually worthwhile pursuing. But we can see here that Anthropic has some strong brand keyword positions, but it has some critical blind spots in the developer tools and AI education space. Gemini's Code Assist now holds the #1 for AI coding assistant, and Claude Code doesn't appear in the top 10 organic results despite ranking number 8 for the shorter AI coding query. Most concerning, neither ChatGPT nor Gemini mentioned Claude Code when asked about AI coding assistance, which to be honest is pretty expected. Then we have our 5 opportunities that it's come up with, and we can actually expand and see all of the different gaps, visibility, and actions that we need for each of our opportunities. So the highest priority opportunity that Claude's found for us is that Google Code Assist owns AI coding assistant, and Google Code's invisible in both organic search and LLM answers. The gaps that it thinks that we can exploit is that there's a head-to-head benchmark data comparing coding assistants on real-world tasks, or some terminal native versus RDE plugin architecture comparisons. We can see our AI visibility gap where ChatGPT is recommending GitHub Copilot, Replit, Ghostwriter, Gemini, bunch of different tools, but neither of them are mentioning Claude Code, Claude, or Anthropic in any form. Next, we have the actions, which is where Claude is recommending that we create a new piece of content for the Anthropic website, which would be a comprehensive AI coding assistant comparison, which would position Claude Code's terminal native architecture in a distinct category. So we've got some really great analysis here. It's given us a revenue target of $11,000 per month if we can rank higher for this keyword. It's also given us our top keyword clusters and the keyword difficulty across them all. We have 4 other opportunities that we can exploit. And you can feel free to pause the video and read through them. So for each of these opportunities, we also get the narrative, which explains why there's a gap and why we should be exploiting this gap right now. And it's all backed up by SEO data, which is fed in from the SEO analysis skill. I've put together the best keyword research methodologies I could find and packaged them into this skill. So Claude isn't just guessing with this data. It has real methodologies from experts in the field that it's using to come up with these opportunities for us. So one of the coolest things about this find opportunities command is that it actually is keeping track of every opportunity that it finds, so it's never serving the same opportunities to you again and again. It's either going to say there's no new opportunities, or it will give you the list of the current ones that you haven't yet actioned. Let me show you exactly how this works. So every time we use the /find opportunities command, Claude is either creating or updating the opportunities.md file, which is saved inside of the SEO directory. Don't worry, I'll show you exactly how this SEO folder looks at the end of this entire process, so you can see just how organized Claude makes all of this. So I can see it here in the right hand side of Cowork, and it's actually listing all of the different opportunities that it found as part of that analysis, as well as a brief summary of the keyword clusters, what the priority was, and the value of that opportunity. But the most important thing is the status. If it has a new status, that means we haven't created a brief for it, nor have we gone and created an actual article. But as we go and write each of those subsequent commands inside of Claude Cowork or Claude Code, Claude comes back and updates this opportunities.md file with all of the context. That way Claude stays up to date with exactly what's going on with the opportunities, what it's recommended, what you've acted on, and then you can even dismiss these opportunities. Say you're no longer interested in it or you think it's a bad idea. That way Claude learns over time exactly what opportunities you're interested in and what it should be prioritizing. Cool. So next thing I'm going to do is take one of these opportunities and create an agency quality SEO brief with it. A proper SEO content brief doesn't just include a list of keywords. It's an entire research package that gives the writer everything they need to know in order to rank with their content. It contains the heading structures, competitive analysis, the expected length of the article, FAQ sections, everything that you need to write a good article. Obviously, we don't have this as part of the opportunities, so we need to do some more in-depth research with the opportunity that we select. So rather than go and select one myself, I'm going to have Claude suggest the highest priority one that we should action. I'm going to use the /create brief command to ask Claude for the highest priority opportunity. So Claude's just finishing up with that brief and it looks incredible. It's gone through and done some really impressive deep research on the keywords, whether that's long tail and question and answer pairs, as well as the people also ask data. It's gone ahead and scraped the top 5 competitor articles, found their headings, word count, ranking keywords, and then gone and found us exactly how we can position our article to beat them in search. It then generates a really beautiful and easy to read content brief in HTML here. We can see that our word count is about 6,700 words or longer. Lead volume is about 12,000 per month, and the keyword difficulty is 48. It's analyzed 3 competitors and given us all of our primary keywords. So AI coding assistants, AI coding, all of the words that we need to incorporate in this article in order to rank, as well as all of our long tail keywords. It's given us our questions and people also ask. It's given us some really impressive research. This this is the type of research that you would pay $300 to $500 to an agency for. And we're getting it for less than $1 using the Data for SEO API. We can also see all of the autocomplete and related searches. And this is gold for SEO. This is our competitor analysis. You can see it's gone through and read all of the top 3 competitors, given us their heading breakdown, and presented that back to us in this beautiful UI where we can click through and where we can see exactly how our competitors are structuring their articles. We can also see our word count comparison and our target word length of 6,700 words, as well as the competitor landscape. And then it's actually given us our recommended headings structure. You can see this is really, really in depth, all of our H2s and H3s, as well as the rationale for action for these recommendations. And even better than that, it's given us our internal links, because the plugin has been able to scrape our entire website and knows all of our blog posts as part of the onboarding flow. It can actually find and recommend the best articles to link to each other. It's also given us some writing notes and some meta tags, all of the information that we would need to hand this off to either a professional writer or to Claude to write and execute into an SEO article ready for the website. Now, this report is in HTML, but if you wanted to send this to someone, you could just download the HTML and send it. But because we're in Claude Cowork, we can even ask it to convert it to a PDF for easy sending. And it's that easy. Now we have a PDF of our content brief ready to send off to whoever we wanted to, or just save for later. But as you know, SEO plugin doesn't stop there. It can actually turn these briefs from research into ready to publish content. And that's what I want to show you now with this next command. So I'm going to type /write content for the AI coding assistant brief and press let's go. Claude is going to jump into action, read that entire brief that we just put together, all of the research across all of the different sources, our competitors, and bring it together into a humanized piece of SEO content ready to go out onto the website. Once again, I've brought together all of the best humanization techniques from across the internet, and I've merged it into a single skill, which Claude is going to leverage here to create a really, really high quality output that you could just review very briefly and then put out onto your website. It's even leveraging the EEAT framework that Google uses to establish authority in SEO articles. It's not just writing human content, it's writing SEO optimized content based on all of our research and the best frameworks that are available right now. The write content command takes that entire brief and turns it into a ready to publish SEO article. It's using the best content humanization frameworks to find and detect all of the AI patterns that just give away that this was written by AI and remove them. It's also feeding in your brand profile and brand voice to make sure that this content actually sounds like you and isn't just AI slop. It even spins up an independent sub-agent to review the article against all of the research that we have done as part of the opportunity and brief and our best practices for technical SEO to make sure that the output is actually ready to publish. It's super impressive. And what you get is a markdown file ready to action inside of your CMS. We have a monster 6,700 word document here, complete with meta descriptions at the top. The heading structure matches the brief exactly. We have our keywords, which are placed naturally. The primary keyword is in the first 100 words and at least one H2, and a density that won't trigger over-optimization flags. And before it saves, it runs an independent quality review with a sub-agent with a completely different context, going against a checklist that is inside the skill. So this article just needs a little bit of human review and it's ready to go out on the website. Just copy and paste. That sub-agent fixes anything that's off just before you even see it. So all you have to do is review and publish. Now that we've seen the plugin in action, let's get this thing installed on your computer. The first thing you want to do is go to the link in the description below. It's completely free to download this plugin. Just hit that link and you'll be taken to a quick little email form and then be redirected straight to the zip file download. Once you have that downloaded, come back here and we'll install it. So the plugin can work in either Claude Code or Claude Cowork. So you can use this wherever you're feeling comfortable, but I'm going to show you how to install this on Claude Cowork first. So we're going to go over to the Customize tab inside of Claude Cowork. Once we're in there, we're going to hit Browse Plugins. On the Browse Plugins tab, we're going to go to Personal and then the plus button here and then Upload Plugin. Now we can go to the Browse Files button and go to the SEO.zip folder, which you have downloaded already. So I'm going to open that one up and press upload. It's going to show a warning because one of the MCP servers, Data for SEO, is running locally on your machine. That just means that there's no remote hosted MCP and that the API calls are going to be happening from your computer rather than some other server. It's nothing to worry about. You can just press continue. Sometimes I've noticed Claude Cowork is showing this error when adding in new plugins. That's not a real error. You can just X out of it and the plugin's been installed properly. We can see that we have our SEO plugin within our personal plugins tab, and we can click through and see the commands, connectors, and skills that make up this plugin. We can't get started with it just yet. The first thing we need to do is set up the connectors because this plugin relies on data from an SEO source and Firecrawl in order to work optimally. You don't necessarily need to have Firecrawl in order to get the plugin to work. It can still use web fetch from within Claude, but it works so much better if you connect Firecrawl and a good SEO provider. I have Ahrefs, SEMrush, and Data for SEO all pre-configured. And if you're using one of these already, just go ahead and click the one that you're configuring. If you are just getting started, I would strongly recommend that you use Data for SEO over the other two, just because the other two require very expensive ongoing subscriptions, and Data for SEO is a pay-as-you-go API, and it is so cheap. Let me show you how to set up the Data for SEO MCP, and then from there we can get started with the onboarding. So you want to go down to the Data for SEO MCP and press Edit, and then open in VS Code or Cursor. Now, you might have some other options there, or you might have no options at all. If you don't have any options at all, go Show in Folder and then open it in your notepad. But for me, I have VS Code installed, so I'm gonna hit VS Code. Press yes on that warning, and this is gonna open us up into the .mcp.json file. All this file is the configuration of MCP servers that this plugin is going to use. So we have a few options that we'll recognize from the previous screen: Ahrefs, SEMrush, Firecrawl, and Data for SEO. If you're using Ahrefs or SEMrush, there is nothing you need to configure in here. The only thing we need to configure is Firecrawl and Data for SEO. Let's get started with Data for SEO first. You can see that we need to configure our username and password for Data for SEO. So if you don't already have an account, you can go ahead and sign up for one. There is a link in the description below to sign up, and by doing so, you support the channel. So now that I'm in my dashboard and for Data for SEO, I'm going to go down to the API Access tab. Here is our API login and password. So we want to copy and paste our API login, and then we also want to copy and paste our password. So if you have a brand new account, you'll be able to copy it from here. If you don't, then you'll need to hit send by email in order to get that password sent to you. Once you've got those, you can go back into the .mcp.json file and add them in here. You just want to add them in between the quotation marks there. So once you've got that, I'm just going to add some default values here and then press, just so you can see what it needs to, how it needs to look. Then you need to go to the Firecrawl MCP if you're using that. As I said, it's optional to use Firecrawl, but I really recommend it because it lets us scrape way more pages off competitors and of your own site. So Claude gets a clearer idea of what your brand voice is and also what your competitors are doing. So all we need to do is add in our Firecrawl API key, which we can also get from the Firecrawl dashboard. So if you don't have a Firecrawl account either, there will be a link in the description below to sign up for one. Once you're in the dashboard, you can go and copy the API key and you can paste that back into this section here. You just want to get rid of those curly brackets and put your API key there. Now, both Firecrawl and Data for SEO have really good trial plans. So I think Firecrawl gives you about 500 credits when you sign up, and Data for SEO gives you $1 of API credits. That will last you enough for testing just to make sure, so you can prove that this plugin is going to work for you. And then from there, you'll have to sign up for an account for Firecrawl and just load some API credits for Data for SEO. The Data for SEO credits, I think you have to load a minimum of $50, but it's going to last you so long. It is a really cheap service for SEO data, so much cheaper than Ahrefs or SEMrush. But if you are using Ahrefs or SEMrush, you can still use those ones. You just need to head back into Claude over here, press connect and install, and that'll take you to sign into your Ahrefs account. And from there, away you go. Once you've got your connectors set up, you'll need to go back to Claude Cowork Now, there is a little bug in Claude Cowork at the moment, so it might be better off just to head it off now rather than have any issues. You want to quit out of Claude Cowork and then reopen it, and all of the plugins will appear. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen some of the time, especially with the connector setup. So I'm going to go and update all my credentials in the setup, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll get started with the onboarding. So once you have all your credentials saved, there is just one more thing that you need to set up if you're using DataForSEO. If you're not using DataForSEO, then you don't need to worry about this. So you'll need to make sure you have Node installed. You're going to go to nodejs.org, and I'll have the link to this in the description below, completely free. And you just go get Node and download it for your machine. Never have to really open this up. Claude will just use this in the background to run the MCP server. Cool. So once you've got all your connectors configured, we're going to set up our directory for where we're going to be working for our SEO content. So whether you're using Claude Cowork or Claude Code, this is the same. You're going to want to set up a folder somewhere on your machine where you can keep all of your SEO data. I'm going to create a folder inside of my work folder, and I'm going to call it SEO. So this is where Claude Cowork or Claude Code will have access to run all of the scripts and create all the files that we're going to create as part of our SEO plugin. So once I've created that, I'm going to go back to Claude Cowork and go work in a folder, and I'm going to choose a directory. Cool. So I'm going to select my SEO folder and hit open. And then Claude Cowork is going to ask me whether I'm going to allow Claude to change files in this folder. So this is part of the reason why we only want to use one specific folder, because we don't want Claude Cowork going crazy on the rest of our machine. So I'm going to hit always allow. From here, we can finally start to use our SEO plugin. So I'm going to go /start here and start the onboarding process. So Claude's asking me for three things, and that's going to get us started with the SEO plugin. It's our website URL, our average deal size, and 2 to 5 of our main competitors. So that's super easy. For my test, I'm going to use anthropic.com. My average deal size, let's say $100,000 for an enterprise deal. And my 2 to 5 competitors are OpenAI and Gemini. That's all I need to set. And then from there, Claude will go and set all of this up for me. Cool, so we've just finished running the onboarding workflow. That took about 5 minutes. And now we have our files all set up, ready to start using the find opportunities, write brief, and write content commands. But first, I just want to show you exactly what Claude did so you can understand what type of research is going into this plugin, so that you're not just getting AI slop outputs, you're actually getting SEO content that sounds like your brand, and that all of the analysis from your competitors and your own site is working as you'd want it to. The first thing Claude does is go through and map all of the pages on your website and note all of the blog pages that you have currently. From there, it finds the highest ranking pages at the moment and goes and scrapes them, so then it can come up with your brand voice, which we can see here in the brand voice document. This is a really in-depth document that tells Claude exactly how your content should sound. We have the who we are versus who we are not, and a few other examples of tone and rhythm and structure, your POV, how you're calibrating your blogs, and some example phrases that are used all the time. So this gives your content a really human feel because it sounds and feels like your brand already, and it gives Claude all of the context it needs to inform everything else it does in the rest of the SEO plugin. There are 2 other files that also get returned. That's the site profile. So this is just some baseline SEO information about Anthropic or about your website. So it gives us our domain, the average deal size, when it was founded, some of the domain metrics, as well as the current content inventory. So we can see we have 92 news pages in the blogs, 80 research pages, 12 engineering pages. From there, it also ranks all of the pages by traffic, and then the top keywords by search volume, as well as all of our striking distance keywords at the moment. And these get updated as these metrics change when you're using the find opportunities and research and brief building commands. There's one last MD file created as part of the onboarding, and that is your competitors. So this would be all of the competitors that we listed out earlier. So we have OpenAI, and just some notes about what they're doing, their domains. Claude would need to do in order to do competitor research down the track. So I've only given 2 competitors here, but you can obviously go and add as many competitors as you like, and Claude will do all the research for you. So that's the onboarding or start here command. The start here command also acts as like a help me command. So if you're ever wondering, what should I do next, or how do I use the plugin, you can always use start here. So the next one I'm going to show you is the find opportunities command, which I think is the most exciting command. There's one more thing I want to show you as part of this setup, and that's how you can get this entire SEO plugin to work independently, so you never have to touch it again once you've set it up. That's using Claude Cowork's new scheduler, which is brand new and lets you run Claude commands and plugins completely independently, so you get prioritized outputs automatically. So inside of Cowork, I'm going to head over to the scheduled tab and I'm going to go new task. So let me fill this out and I'll talk you through it. So I've just configured this new scheduled task. I've named it daily SEO opportunities and I've given it a short description. The prompt is very, very simple because all of the prompt's heavy lifting happens within the / commands and skills that is part of the plugin. So I've just asked it to use the SEO plugin and the find opportunities command to find today's highest priority SEO content opportunities and then go through and create that brief. I've selected the model I wanted to use. I've gone with Opus 4.6, and then I've also selected the folder that we're working in. This is super important because all of our brand context is living within this SEO folder that we've created. And then I've selected the frequency as daily, and I'm going to select the time as 9 a.m. and click save. So the important thing to know about these scheduled tasks is that your computer has to be on for these to run. So that's the only caveat, but every day at 9 a.m. I'll get this new brief created and saved. And if you're wondering after all of that, where all of these files are being saved, it's right here in that SEO folder that we set up. So we have our brand folder and our campaigns. Inside of our brand, we have our brand voice, competitors, site profile, all in markdown files ready for Claude to read. And then we also have our campaigns. So the campaigns folder always stays nice and organized because everything is organized by the day of the run. So we have today, the 1st of March, where I have my daily opportunities, the brief that we came up with both in HTML and PDF format, and the final article which we came up with. Outside of that daily folder, we have the opportunities.md file, which sits at the root of the campaigns folder. And that's where Claude keeps track of all of the campaigns all of the opportunities that we've come up with, which ones have been actioned, which ones have had briefs written, and which ones have had articles written. Every time we do anything inside of Claude Cowork or Claude Code, it's being saved right here in the SEO folder. So that was the plugin. It's everything you need to turn Claude into an SEO powerhouse and maybe even fire that agency. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. The link for the plugin is in the description below. All I ask is that you give me your email. I promise that I will not spam you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.